Boom. Ready, go. Hut. My man, Kevin O Shea. Mindset training, man. So it's just awesome.
Yeah.
Everything we have discussed and mine and your passion for, just what's going on in between these kids' ears and how much that, transitions to athletics, obviously. If you're at the plate and you don't believe you're going to hit the ball, normally you don't. If you're in your stance in a football game and you don't think you're going to block your guy, or if you're a receiver and you don't think you're going to catch the ball, or if you're at the free throw line, you don't think you're going to make the shot. I don't want to leave out all the soccer and volleyball and tennis and all the above, but those are the situations I've been in. At the plate, at the free throw line, in my stance in a football game, right? Obviously the female side of sports and all the things is important, and we're an athletic training facility, but I think it goes way past that for me and you. And that's why our relationship has become so awesome so fast, is that we have the same beliefs, morals, values, love our families, love our wives. Both of us have wild, crazy wives, so we share that in common. We're kindred spirits there. But, man, just in general, it's about their life. These kids, they're for sure going to be husbands. They're for sure going to be fathers. We pray they're men of God, women of God. So the rest of their life, this stuff matters. How they think, how they handle adversity, how they get comfortable being uncomfortable without turning to things that can ruin their life. So just practically, once we start these 6-week courses and these individual sessions with you, what does that even look like when, if I'm a dad, obviously you're getting my kids because I know you.
Right.
You're my friend. I've watched you in action. I know your heart. I know what you've been through. But I'm not Kevin O Shea's friend. I'm not somebody that works with you and coaches high school football with you. I'm just a mom or a dad in town who sees that my kid, man, is just struggling with confidence or struggling with, those big moments in games to where they would be the best player on the team. But, man, they're just fourth or fifth best because in the big moments they kind of crumble.
Right.
So all those little things, whether it's athletics or just in general, what does a 6-week course look like with Kevin O Shea? Obviously, that's going to be included in our membership, so that's members only for kids that are here. So that's more directed towards our members, right?
Yeah.
We're not allowing anybody, as of now, never say never, never say always, but right now our 6-week course is for our members.
Right.
So what does that look like? And then, obviously, our mindset training sessions that we are going to start offering to the general public. Once again, we're not sports psychologists. We're not clinicians. I didn't go to medical school. Neither did you. We just got life experience, baby. And we both played high-level sports, played sports for a long time, and certain things in our mind either A, did derail our athletic careers, or B, very well could have with mine many times. So that's what I want to talk about for however long it takes, because of how important this is.
Yeah.
What is the 6-week course? What is the one-on-ones and the small groups? What are these things, and how and why will it help my child? Why will it help Brody, Amanda, Brock, or Addison Smith? And right now, you don't know me.
Right, no doubt. So, yeah, we told my story a little bit last time on the podcast, and essentially the point of that is I came to this out of necessity, right? I experienced the consequences of living my life a certain way, having no grasp on my mindset. And we could talk about, obviously, what does that even mean in terms of mindset. So out of necessity, my eyes were open to the importance of this and how it becomes the driving force of your life moving forward. But not everybody needs to come to it out of necessity. So what we want to do really with this 6-week course is we want to lay a foundation to have a conversation about mindset, because it's very abstract. It's not tangible. You can't put your hands on it, right? So people out of ignorance, and I don't mean that with a negative connotation, but just lack of knowledge, don't know what we're talking about, or they've gotten taught something by somebody who maybe didn't have great intention trying to sell them something. And because this thing's not tangible, you can get into a situation where somebody's trying to sell something they don't actually have to deliver, right? And that's why we always lean on our experience. I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not. I'm not trying to pass off as a credentialed professional in a certain area. I'm somebody who's played sports. I've had a bunch of life experience, and I now know the importance of this stuff. And I'm here really to share my experience, hold space, listen to these kids, hear what's truly going on with them, and see if my experience can be useful to them. But before we do any of the one-on-one stuff that you brought up, we need to lay the foundation so we have a level of awareness of what are we even talking about. Generally speaking, I go into more detail depending on what session we're going to be doing. But mindset to me comes down to beliefs, thoughts, emotions. Okay, and there's some other things involved in that stuff, but the way that I see things working in my life and in others' lives, because I don't think it's unique to me, this is a consistent deal for everybody, whether we want to admit it or not. And the thing you brought up about the mindset dictating whether or not the free throw is made or dictating whether or not the guy's getting blocked. It doesn't replace the work of repping the free throw. It doesn't replace the work of repping the block, but together you become a very powerful human being. Just one, either your physical skill set's only going to take you to a place where then your mindset crumbles and you get beat, not because you lack the skill, but because you lack the mental fortitude to be able to operate in that moment. Or you could spend all day operating on the mindset and you could believe you're going to make a shot, but if you never take the shot and you have no reps practicing the shot, you're not going to have any confidence that you're going to make it moving forward, because confidence comes down to reps. And this mindset is really more about my belief systems, about who I am and who I can be in a situation moving forward. So for me, it goes beliefs dictates my thoughts dictate my emotions, and way more often than not, our emotions dictate our actions. So we don't have emotional regulation. We've all probably had experience where we acted out of emotion, did something we truly didn't want to do, but felt like we had no control in that moment. And then if we take enough of those actions repeatedly, we get habits. Actions will habitualize whether you want them to or not. So we're either going to take positive actions or negative actions. Either way, you're going to build a habit if you rep it often enough. And on the back end of those habits is the identity. So those things operate in a chain building up to this identity that I then believe myself to be. And if anything in that chain gets jacked up, polluted, it's weak, for lack of a better term. Not that anybody that's working on their mindset is weak, but if anything in that chain gets fractured, let's say that, everything upstream from it is now fractured. It can't not be, because it flows in that current. So the way that we're going to do the 6-week course is, first of all, we're going to talk about what is mindset, and then there's two really distinct ways where you can categorize your mindset. It's either a fixed mindset or it's a growth mindset. So am I stuck believing that I think the way I think, I feel the way I feel, I'm focused on outcomes instead of processes because my performance just is what it is and that's what it's always going to be? Or do I have this growth mindset where I can focus on process over outcome? Failures now become opportunity to grow as opposed to I'm bad or I'm a failure or whatever it may be. So am I even open-minded to have a conversation that my mindset can improve? So what is it, and am I open-minded enough to believe that it can improve? And then from there, let's talk about these belief systems that are driving our behavior. I tell people all the time, I'll show you what you believe by watching your feet. Watch your feet. You'll find out what you believe. You might think you believe one thing, but the truth is our actions will always mirror those belief systems. And the beliefs drive the thoughts, so we'll do some time talking about specific ways of thinking, positive thinking, negative thinking. There's actually a school of thought called neutral thinking that I like focusing on a lot. A guy that came up with that, Coach Russell Wilson, a bunch of big-time guys in the NFL. I love his stuff. He actually unfortunately passed away. And I give credit. I'm really taking a bunch of stuff from people that are way smarter than me, putting on top of my experience and packaging it together. So like, this guy's awesome. We'll talk about some of that stuff. We'll talk about emotions and emotional intelligence and what does that look like. And then we'll talk about building habits and eventually kind of what this identity looks like moving forward. So that'll be the foundation for us to lay. And then we have options moving forward if people want to go beyond that.
Man, so my crazy brain works in certain ways. Number one, I heard it doesn't mean you're weak if you come to a mindset 6-week course. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're all weak. That's why Jesus had to suffer, for crying out loud. Like, visualize what Jesus went through. It's a very unpleasant sight. Like, visualize what Jesus went through right now and then try to sin 3 seconds from now. It makes it a lot harder when you really when you embark on what Christ did, because we are all weak, period. So my kids will be there 100%. I'll be there 100% because I'm going to learn and grow through you, because every little thing you say, it's like, duh, but it's like your Bible. It's like your faith life. It's like my marriage. It's like anything else. It's cool when it just gets reinforced. And that's one thing, that I respect about you so much is even with my kids, you're like, listen, man, they're with me. Let's just be clear. Like, if I feel like there's a threat for them to harm themselves, then you'll be the first one I call. But outside of that, man, this is a safe space for them, for me to help them grow. Do you trust me or not? Right? And that's awesome. And then the other thing I heard you say was, mindset without work ethic fails. Work ethic without mindset fails. When you put both together, then it makes for a really special athlete, businessman, husband, father, friend, employee, all the things that you're going to be, dealing with the rest of your life. And, unless you're Elon Musk, and then, the whole mindset training for him is on another planet. But it's cool, man. It fires me up. Work ethic without mindset fails. Work ethic, what did I say? Work ethic without mindset without work ethic fails. Vice versa. Both, either one without each other fails. I've been hitting the head a lot, man. I already forgot that. I need your help. But my point is, I love it. So we're going to be fired up to start our first 6-week course Saturday, August 26th. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the kids to get to experience it, and then folks can decide, especially our members, they can decide, hey, do we think this is valuable? Is my kid? It's like Maddie's Bible study. Like, all these parents are telling me, man, they get in the car and they're just talking about this or talking about that. And we do our Bible studies on Monday nights. These kids are the best behaved Tuesday morning at school out of the whole week. Wednesday they slip. Thursday they slip more. By Friday they're cussing again. They're, hanging out with the little group of friends that maybe they kept their distance from on Tuesday because Maddie poured into them. So once again, it's back to mindset, the consistent mindset that once you build it, your feet start to go the right way because it becomes habit.
Yeah.
I love it, dude. I love it.
No doubt. And that the thing that I like to emphasize about mindset, and we could talk about this all day, but the one thing that we're after here, which everybody's after, is we're after control, right? So over ourselves, which is really the only thing that we can ever control. We can't control circumstances. We can't control other people in our lives, no matter how much we love them or no matter how much we want to. I'm sure you have this experience with your kids, right? I got a 7-month-old that I can't control, right? She doesn't even understand what I'm saying. But like, what we're after is control over ourselves, which is the only thing that we can control. So I love doing it on a Saturday. Not that we exclusively serve football, because we don't. We're amazingly beneficial for people of all age ranges and who play all sports. But we do have a big football population based on, where you come from and whatnot. So Saturday, when they come in, they're either going to come in riding high based on how they played. They're going to come in mad that they didn't play, or they're going to come in upset, disappointed, guilty, ashamed because they did play and they didn't play the way they wanted to play. And my position is that outcome is always a natural byproduct of the process. What the outcome that happens on Friday night is revealing the process up until that point, right? So what they're getting exposed with at that point is how was their process up until that point. And that process is physical, undoubtedly. We need the reps, but that process is also mental. And so A, they're going to get exposed with that, and B, they're either going to be in a position where they're vulnerable because they're riding too high or vulnerable because they're too low. And neither of those places is a good place for them to be. And what this mindset does with the control is it no longer makes them victim to circumstance. Obviously, they can aim to perform at a certain level. Do or don't, I still have control over my thoughts, emotions, and therefore my behavior. 9 times out of 10, we're all human. We all fall short. I mean, I can't control every thought, I think. Nobody can, right? Somebody tell you, don't think about this one thing, and of course, that's what pops in your mind, right? But how quickly can I gain control over that thought process? If I have a negative runaway train thought process, how quickly can I grab the reins and bring it back in? How quickly can I get myself under control emotionally? And then how quickly, or can I exert enough control to prevent myself from taking an action I don't actually want to take beforehand, as opposed to seeing it after the fact and then going and making amends and making it right and doing the things we do, because we're all human and all fall short. So I'm never pitching perfection. I'm never pitching any of that. What we're doing is looking for growth long-term in these young men and women so that they can have control over their lives moving forward, whether that's in athletics or as future significant others, husbands, wives, mothers, fathers, whatever it may be. Just how do they grow and become healthier human beings physically, mentally, spiritually, coming out of this place?
Man, Hal Luther, I'll give my guy a shout out. Hal will be down here at some point. He's a strength coach for the Buffalo Bills. He was my guy, my right-hand man. And he used to always tell me, Lee, you can't control the way you feel, but you can sure control the way you act. And that's essentially semantics to what you were just saying. You can't control what you think. So regardless of how you look at it, what you're thinking makes you feel a certain kind of way. So your feelings, your thoughts, once again, Jesus died on that cross because perfection is unattainable. So when you truly start to build habits, it's not that your feelings changed, it's that you built a habit of what your body and mind does when that feeling happens.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, that's really cool. So guess what? When I was 22 years old and Alicia Smith made me feel a certain kind of way, I said something really stupid
Right.
that then ruined 3 days of our lives. And now it's like, I don't say something stupid. She makes me feel the exact same way because she's my soulmate and my best friend and I love her. I told her yesterday, I said, I hate it that like you control the way I feel because she's my girl, right? Like when she's off, I'm off. But it's just such a different reaction and follow up to the way I treat her based off of repetition.
Yeah.
I had to build a new habit.
Right.
I didn't just say lead change, boom. No, like it got better for a while, then it got a little better, then it got a little better, then it got a little better, and I still fail, especially with the whole husband deal. But man, it's cool when you do change that mindset. And so here's my question. This is something Emily said that I'll never forget. She said, boys have to play good to feel good.
Okay.
Girls have to feel good to play good.
Okay.
And just the difference in female and male mindset and kind of the athletic realm. And it kind of made me start to think like, okay, so let's just get, whether it's a female, male, whoever's in these courses and doing your breakouts and all that. Let's just say sports isn't involved. Let's say a parent comes over here and it's like, listen, man, he's a dude on the field. I ain't worried about all that. Like, but in school or in life, or he's got this girlfriend that just broke his heart, and I'm really worried about what he might do. And like, let's just say it's not a sports thing. Is that something that you feel like is married to these courses and classes and deals, or is it just sports related?
Yeah, no, I don't feel it's just sports related. The way that I work on my spiritual and mental condition infiltrates every area of my life, right? The way that we are, I will say spiritually, which then dictates a lot of this stuff in terms of our, belief systems and thought processes and how we're able to identify and regulate emotions, like that would obviously affect me on the field, but it also affects me in my marriage. It would also affect me in school. If I was going to school, it affects me at work. It affects every area of my life. And what I've found is, again, the behavior from my perspective, and I'll say my opinion that's validated by my experience, my behavior is always a reflection of my internal condition. So whether I'm acting out with the girlfriend, or it's not even that I'm acting out, but something happens in my circumstances, I now feel a certain way. The thing about that deal is the feeling is within you, right? And what happens a lot of times when people feel a certain way based on the circumstances in their life, they try to change the circumstance or they try to change the person, and that becomes this futile exercise. It doesn't matter what it is. You can't control it. You can't control Lisa Smith, just like I can't control Kevin O Shea. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be who they are, and we're going to be who we are. And when I have a feeling that comes up as a result of a circumstance, my attention now needs to go inward, right? Because there's a disturbance, and it's within me. So that disturbance is coming for me, usually from a couple places. Like, I either straight up got my feelings hurt, which as a grown man, that's hard to say, right? We can be sensitive sometimes. A lot of times what happens is I get afraid. And as a man, I'm not humble enough to share that, so what comes out is anger, right? And the truth is, something about that identity that we talked about on the back end of that chain is feeling threatened, right? And what happens is, we talked about a scenario on the last one, about, a girl in a certain situation with a guy yelling at her. What's going on there, and what's going on when I get afraid when even nobody's yelling, is I'm experiencing this fight or flight response that's meant to keep me alive as a human being. But what's happened nowadays, we're like way safer than humanity has ever been. But that fight or flight response still gets kicked on. So it's not a threat to my actual life. It's a threat to the identity that my ego has created. And when I experience that threat, I get fight or flight, just like I'm going to die. But I'm not actually threatened. What's threatened is my identity. And I respond, I actually react as opposed to respond based on that fear. And then that's when the anger comes out. And that's where we get to this place where we're like driven by these different emotions. And what happened there is that somewhere along the chain, we got fractured at that point. It'd be an emotional regulation issue because I have a disproportionate fear response to something that's not actually a threat to anything but what I think about myself. Does that make sense?
100%.
So I don't care what's going on in anybody's life. If they're getting disturbed over a certain situation, the attention has to go inward. It's the only way to transcend it, again, to the point where You're not a victim of circumstance. Because if we can't do this, then our emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being is relying on things we can't control. And that's such a powerless way to live, right? And like for those that have faith and believe that we need this power to intervene in our lives in a very real way because we are flawed human beings that will inevitably fall short. I'm not talking about replacing that, but I'm talking about as far as this human experience goes, let's gain as much power and control over ourselves as we possibly can and not be victim to things we can't control because it's futile, it's exhausting, and it's a recipe for hurting people because eventually if I get hurt or if I get scared long enough or bad enough, I'll take it out on my wife. I'll take it out on somebody who's close to me. And when the truth is something was jacked up within me and then I projected it out on who was ever closest at the moment.
Man, well, like I said earlier, I'm coming and I'm listening because all these things, bro, are so huge for men.
Yeah.
And they're huge for women, and in my belief, in different ways. And it's like we had a kid yesterday at practice. I won't name his name. I'm sure you can guess who he is. His mom and dad wouldn't care if I tell this story. I know that for sure, but I won't use his name. But he gets emotionally hijacked. Coach gets on him. He's done. Pretty much quit, steps out of the drill. Good luck winning without me, the whole deal.
Right.
So after practice, I'm like, 5-10 years ago, I'd have cussed him and ran him until he couldn't feel his legs. Like, I'm going to break you since you are a bad teammate.
Yeah.
And after my vast experience with human beings from every nook and cranny of the world, I didn't. I just looked at him and just gave him that disappointed look and shook my head and kept coaching. And then after practice, I said, listen, man, I said, if you let other people, I don't care if it's a coach, I don't care if it's your girlfriend, I don't care if it's your mom, stepdad, if you let other people control your emotions, that is a weakness that will fester and turn into a huge problem long term. And I'm not calling you weak. I'm saying you have a weakness like everyone else. And if you continue to let that, like, well, him, it's always him, well, he, well, this, well, no. You reacted this way, which caused your teammates to lose respect for you, which caused your teammates to now think, man, can we really count on him? So all those things caused you to be exactly what you truly don't want to be.
Right.
And you are really comfortable saying it's his fault. No, it's your fault.
And just in the way that he phrases that and verbalizes that, who has all the power in that dynamic?
100%.
So this guy that, I'm not saying he hates him, but anyway, there's plenty of situations where I'm so resentful at so-and-so, I'm so mad at so-and-so, and it dominates their thoughts. It dominates the way they feel. That's all they talk about. It's like, this person that you hate is truly dominating your life. You are surrendering any power that you do have available to you to this person to now dictate how you feel, think, and act. And it's like, it's so... I don't want to say it's funny to demean that people, but it's like comical almost if you can step back and emotionally detach from it, that it's like what we resist and what we try to avoid or a person we dislike so much, we give that stuff all of our power, or we end up perpetuating an outcome that we really don't want because we're letting this stuff drive us in a way that causes us to take actions that we know are out of alignment with where we're truly aiming, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. And one thing I want to be clear is, my safety net and my parachute at all times is Jesus.
No doubt.
But I understand that everybody might not believe in Jesus. And I understand that everybody, we have Hindu members here. We have Muslim members here. We have non-believing members here. And that's not just 11. Heck, we're faith family football. And we still have members that don't necessarily, and not that they do have faith, right? It doesn't say Jesus family football. It says faith. But my point is, like, I want to be clear, this isn't just for a bunch of Christ-following Christian people.
Yeah.
This is for people who feel that their children, or even themselves, can need help with their mindset. Right. And our members here that might not be Christ followers, I'm a big Jesus guy because that's my only, that's just, I've learned in my life, I got no chance without it. But I know that's not everybody's norm and everybody's life. So please, I want to make sure I said that as like Kevin O Shea mindset training for your young athletes, for any folks that feel like this can help your kids. Please don't feel like it's going to be Bible study.
It's not.
That is what Maddie Montgomery is for on Monday nights.
Yeah.
If you want to enjoy our Bible study and our young Christian leadership, that's why Maddie Montgomery's here. And that's what we do on Monday nights. Saturday is mindset training with Kevin O Shea. And it's going to be more mental fortitude, mental coaching, mental awareness. Self-awareness is a huge problem, to say the least. If you don't know what issue you have, you can't fight it off.
Right.
So I'm fired up, man. I'm excited for it. I couldn't be more excited for it. For my own kids, for myself, for my family. I feel like God put you here, and I'm going to make sure that I take advantage of it to help my kids grow, because they tune me out sometimes.
No, and I appreciate the trust, as I've told you in private before, but I want to vocalize again, and I'll let any parent or anybody that's watching, I understand this is a big ask for you to trust me, especially if you don't know me, so feel free, if you're around the gym, introduce yourself, we'll have a conversation, whatever it may be. I understand that it's a lot to ask you to trust me, right? I just want to say I get that, and I recognize that it might be a difficult thing to pull the trigger on, but hopefully after talking about what we're really about here and what we're doing, like the spiritual, I talk in terms of spiritual principles, and principle is a fundamental truth that is true always and for all time. And the spiritual truths that I talk about, they're consistent across the board, right? And you talked about this being simple, is like the way that this goes is it feels like when we talk about these concepts, like it feels like you remember that they're true, not that you learned something new. And like
So true.
that's what I found about spiritual principles, because there's something within us, whatever you want to believe, as far as your religious viewpoint or spiritual viewpoint, or none of the above, kind of just somewhere in the middle, or don't know, or whatever. There is a part of you that this will resonate with, that I believe transcends our human experience, and that's the part of it's like, oh yeah, duh, that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And we can't see what we can't see, so there's no judgment on not seeing it. I couldn't see it for a very long time, but that's the stuff we're going to be talking about. So if anybody's concerned about what is this, is it good with my faith, is it not good with my faith, or what is he going to be teaching my kids? Because that's a valid concern, right?
Yep.
My job, again, is to teach them about what is currently going on with their mind, and we can either shine a light on it and gain some awareness and talk about some ways to transcend it. So like we talked about, we're not victim of circumstance, we're not taking actions we don't actually want to take, we're not causing problems, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. That's what we're going to do, and it's all in an effort to serve your kids. And obviously I hope you take me at my word for that, but also understand if you don't, come have a conversation with us, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
I love it, dude. Well, I don't care if you believe in Jesus, Buddha, nothing, evolution. I mean, and I'm not being passive aggressive or being a smart ass. I'm serious. Like, regardless, if you don't want to learn how to become better mentally because of circumstances you can't control, because those will never end.
Right.
There will never be a time that someone out there is not going to try to steal your joy, or something is not going to try to steal your joy. So regardless of all the spiritual elements, we're talking about mindset training at Triple F right now. Regardless of all the spiritual elements or what God you believe in or don't believe in, anyone in the world would say, you know what, man? When this person behaved this way and I behaved a way that I'm embarrassed of, I would really like to fix that next time.
Right.
Or this circumstance caused me to become the worst version of myself, or this failure caused me to fail more. Like, how do I fix those things? That's pretty much the simple, dumb, stupid baseline product that we're doing. And I hate to use those words, but for big, dumb football players like me, it's like, hey, when this person does something that causes me to feel a certain way, I don't want that to happen anymore.
Yeah.
When this experience happens or this adversity happens in my life and it melts me a little bit and causes me to become the weakest version of myself, I want to be able to fight that off next time.
Yeah.
All those things, boys, girls, all of them, I'm excited, man, and you're so much better at this than me. I'm a little more rugged. You're so, I don't want to call you gentle, but you're so here. And I'm such an emotional guy that I love having you around. I love the yin, you're the yin to my yang, you and Rich around here. And I feel like God put us together. I'm excited. I come to you when I want to have a little moment sometimes, and it always centers me. It's weird. It's like, you got a gift, brother.
Appreciate
so, yeah, and then here's the final question, just as we explain the product. I'm a parent. Can I come watch the 6-week course?
The 6-week course, I have no problem anybody sitting in on.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think if that makes you more comfortable with potentially move into another service that we're going to offer that we can talk about, because everybody's going to get the 6-week course. It's part of the membership. And we could say parents are welcome. Anybody's welcome, really, because honestly, these are concepts that I'm confident can help anybody, any age, 100%. Any walk of life. So if it touches another person by them coming in just to make sure their kid's all right, who knows what it will do for their life. And again, I'm not trying to be grandiose or arrogant. I just know what this can do for somebody that's open and willing to receive it. So that'd be great. What we offer on top of the 6 weeks is going to be individual sessions with me. And then we're also going to offer small group sessions, which we'll do groups up to 5. Yep. Those sessions will be the athlete only and myself, or the small group of athletes and myself.
I think the 6-week courses, which we'll do kind of quarterly or twice a year, however we decide to do them. It's not going to be a 6-week course, 52 weeks a year, but it'll be big time opportunities for families, parents, people to come in and say, man, what's this stuff all about? And then that way, I think, just from a parent lens, that will allow them to say, you know what, I would really like them to spend some more time with Kevin.
Cool.
Without, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, whatever God has planned, 200 people down there. Who knows? Only God knows what it's going to look like in the future. But I agree. Let's wide open. Let everybody know. Come, enjoy it, whether you're a parent, an adult member here, wherever, come enjoy the mindset. And then folks that want more than the big time kind of 6-week course, then they can come to you and do their breakouts. And I like the number of 5. Sometimes kids are more comfortable with each other.
No doubt.
Especially dumb boys. Yeah. The minute I tell you, like you just said, I'm afraid or I'm scared. Well, when that happens, little Johnny, who would have never said, yeah, I'm afraid too. Right. So I love that. I would encourage parents, hey, you know who your kids hang out with the most, because normally they play on teams together.
Right.
So, hey, get 3 of the dudes and bring them over here, and let's help them be the best version of themselves with Kev. Do the free courses first, and then go spend the time with Kevin. He'll change your kid's life. I love it.
Love it.
My guy. All right, bro. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.